Well, Africa accounts for less than 2% of global airline passenger traffic and about 1% of global airlines cargo. According to an African Development Bank report, the challenges facing the African aviation industry range from strong state protectionism, lack of an enabling environment for new investors, high taxes and charges. Now, despite the challenges, South African Airways recently announced the launch of flights between Accra, Ghana and Washington, D.C. To tell us more about how the South African Airways is navigating the industry, I'm joined by Marc Cavaliere, Executive Vice President for the Americas, South African Airways. Mr. Cavaliere, welcome to Africa 54.
Vincent, thank you very much. Delighted to be here. Delighted to chat about Africa.
We're happy to have you here. And you know, many Africans really get excited when they hear that you can fly directly from the continent to the United States. First, how did Ghana become the choice?
So air service development tends to follow development of economies and development of potential, mainly driven a lot by commerce and industry. And obviously Ghana, as an emerging market, as an up-and-coming business center, it just became a natural fit. So with the commercial interests, the business interests, along with the other diaspora interests here in the United States, it just made sense for us to take a closer look at that market, and we were certainly convinced of the potential to justify opening up the route. And coming from Washington, D.C. has been quite a success for us.
Now, we know that many airlines in Africa are struggling. They're having a hard time even just maintaining the routes that they already have.
Right.
How is it that South African Airways has been able to expand? And, you know, it looks like this is coming at a time when airlines are having even bigger trouble.
You know, I think there's a number of different reasons that account for the actual challenges that the industry faces. Currency fluctuations certainly is a big one that we're feeling right now. Infrastructural development that varies according to different countries is an issue. But I think really what gives us an opportunity to develop this, what gives us an opportunity to go into new markets, is where we see potential for growth, where we see potential for not only the existing demand that's in the market between the 2 points, but also the opportunities to further expand that. And that's where we have to reach out and work along with the business sector, work along with the government sector to ensure that we're able to provide a means of conveyance that's both affordable and convenient, and that will help further develop that. Airline development tends to follow along with GDP development. Those two somewhat tend to move in lockstep, even on a global basis. Yes. So where we see growth potential and commercial development potential, we also see opportunities for more air service.
In terms of growth, development, and infrastructural development in Ghana, does this look like it can turn out to be like a South African Airways hub in West Africa, rather than just one of those stops?
Look, West Africa itself is a very important market, not just for us, but also for the development of that portion of the continent. And so we think, yes, there is a lot of opportunity there. We will look, I wouldn't necessarily call it a hub. It's not going to be quite as big as our hub in Johannesburg. Yeah. But I think it does certainly have the makings and the fundamentals of being able to develop from Ghana and to feed traffic within the region. And this is one of the reasons why we've recently entered into an agreement, a commercial agreement with Africa World Airways, a Ghanaian company, to work with them to feed traffic to them from Accra beyond into the region.
Yeah, because somebody would be curious to know whether they could fly, say, from Nairobi, instead of going to Amsterdam or London, just come to Accra and take the flight to Washington.
Accra will definitely be a gateway, and not just a stopping point for us, but also a gateway to feed traffic beyond into the West Africa region. So, yes, I think there's definitely potential for that.
Okay. And potentially, what are some of the other areas that we could see growth and expansion?
Look, I think some of the neighboring countries, some of the immediate neighboring countries are probably the most likely, and a lot of that is going to develop or going to depend upon our partner carriers into the regions that they want to go into as well. So we can look at different levels of commercial agreements with them. We can look at different ticketing agreements with them. One of the things that it does do for the carriers from Ghana and the region is it allows us to use the SAA distribution system that has been well established here in America to be able to sell into those destinations in the neighboring countries. So I think that's what's going to give us an opportunity to further provide that bridge, that traffic, not just to Accra, but throughout the entire region.
Well, that's great, and I wish you all the best.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Cavaliere, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Vincent. Delighted to be here.
It's a pleasure.
We look forward to seeing you on our flights.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there someday soon. Well, Marc Cavaliere is the Executive Vice President for the Americas, South African Airways.